Welcome to this regular meeting of Abingdon's Historic Preservation Review Board. This is a citizen board appointed by the town council to interpret and uphold Abingdon's Historic Preservation Ordinance, which is Article 8 of the zoning ordinance. Abingdon's Preservation Ordinance protects the historic district and all of its contributing pieces, both buildings and their sites, from negative encroachment resulting from inappropriate construction, design, alterations, or demolitions. Our review process is guided by our guidelines, which use the United States Secretary of Interior's standards for rehabilitation as the genesis for their development. It is our intention that our review process provides a positive bridge of support between that ordinance and property owners seeking to make changes, working together through the natural partnership that exists between us for mutual good. The result will be to ensure Abingdon's historic district continues as a valuable asset and one that makes Abingdon a good place to live, to work, and to visit. So welcome. Roll call.
Mr. Boyd? Mr. Anderson?
Here.
Mrs. Hartshorn?
Here.
Mrs. White?
Here.
And Mrs. Bone.
Here.
All right. We have 3 sets of minutes to approve, so we'll get on to them. You have anything to say about those, Kate?
No, it's just the two from May because we didn't meet in June, so you're just reviewing those two, and then we have the work session.
Just the
ones
2
from June.
ones need to be reviewed, just
And
the 2
the
sets of
work
minutes.
session.
And the work session.
And the work session too, okay. All right, well, let's start with the May 3rd regular meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those?
I had a correction and now it must have been fixed.
Okay.
So I don't see it anymore. So
Okay.
I move that we approve the minutes of the May 3rd regular meeting.
All right, a second?
I'll second.
A motion by Ms. Hartshorn and a second by Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
And Mrs. Bone.
Aye.
All right, this is now the May 16th special called meeting on May 16th. Any questions or comments about those? Motion to approve?
I'll put that motion to approve that.
Mr. Anderson has put a motion in to approve those minutes. Second?
I'll second.
Ms. Hartshorn seconds.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Bone.
Aye.
All right, the last one, excuse me, is the June 14th work session that we held. Any corrections to those? All right. Motion?
I'll put that in motion.
Mr. Anderson?
I'll second.
Ms. Hartshorn?
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
And Mrs. Bone.
Aye.
All right, so we'll get on to the first application.
If you want to amend the agenda to allow the applicants to come forward for, I believe it's
Yes.
309 West Valley Street, to just come up and speak to their plan for the,
Yes, you can see on the screen, this is 309.
yeah.
309 West Valley Street. The owners of that are here.
How are you all?
All right.
We're fine, thank you.
I'm Seth White. This is my house at 313 West Valley Street. It's my parents, Janice and Jerry White, and they own the property here next to me. They asked me to come with them tonight. And just wanted to go over a couple of things with you, and we appreciate the invitation to come. And we finished the house. We're about, I guess, about 90% finished. Yeah, on 313. And so the majority of the outside's done. We're actually going to repaint 313 this summer. Good question while I'm here. Do I have to get that approved again, or if I use the same color?
Use the
Which-
same color that it has.
Mm-hmm.
Which house is 313?
To the left.
Is that the one we're talking about?
No,
No,
talking
we're talking
about-
next door, but I'm
That's the one
covering
you're
it.
going to repaint exactly how it is? Just change, or?
No, yeah, I'm going to repaint this
Okay.
one.
Okay.
Yeah, which does not look like that now.
Okay.
That was during construction, I assume. But yeah, the same color that we painted then.
Now, is that, excuse me again, is that the one on the corner?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
That we approved a long time ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct, okay.
I just want to know, I didn't know if I had to bring back the color again if we do the same color
If
or
it's
not.
the same color, you don't. You can bring it to him, to Gabe.
Okay.
You just fill out a COA waiver.
You need a waiver.
You just fill out a COA waiver.
Okay.
And you'll be good.
Okay. Well, because our intention was to paint this one this summer, and then to also, while they're there, to do some work on this other one. And we are making some of the siding, on 309, we'll have to replace some of the siding that's rotted. This was from Sherwin-Williams Historical Colors. She's marked the one that she would like
Frostworks.
to do. Yes. If we could get approval on that color, and there's a few other things that I'd like to get approval. Last time we were here, I talked about, there's a garage that's falling in on the side, and at that time, there was some question, yeah, that's it, about the age of that structure, but the center block, these blocks were not made until the 1950s, so it's a much older structure. It's not a historically, period structure, and I would like to get permission to go ahead and, it's falling in, we'd like to be able to remove it. We just haven't done that because I didn't want to,
And maybe I should clarify tonight what's happening. So
Yeah.
this is actually a compliance case. So we've had 3 properties on Valley Street that we sent our compliance officer through the process of going through a compliance case. So in general, in fact, you wouldn't really have had to come here tonight if you had, if like, as long as you were willing to move forward, that's really all we want to see.
Sure.
So when you decide on the colors and what you want to do and all that, you will have to come to them.
Right, I understand that. I'm just
Okay.
saying, while I'm here tonight, I'd like to,
Sure.
these are just a couple of big issues. The color we've already picked out.
Yeah.
And then the big issue is this garage. If you
Yeah.
could go ahead and give us permission to, I just didn't want to remove it until we had your
Sure.
permission.
They can't actually make any decisions tonight until you bring an official application to them.
So don't remove it yet.
Yeah.
Just wait. Just
Hurry
wait.
up and wait.
But you could, that's just a month to the next meeting.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if they'd have told us that, we would have made our application then before we came. Maybe that would have been some good instructions.
Can I ask you, this is just sort of a fact-finding thing. Your siding that you're thinking of replacing is like for like, you're not changing your siding?
Yeah, like for like. We built, so if, I
Yeah.
don't know if you were familiar with 313.
I don't remember it looking like that, so.
So 313, we had a lot of rotten siding on that too. I'm a woodworker, my dad's a woodworker, and so we recreated, we can make anything, but actually I had a friend of mine who has the equipment, the millworks equipment, and we recreated the wood siding.
That's a good friend.
Yeah. So we made all the handrails to match. We just do all that stuff anyway, so that's what we did. Yeah, this is what I guess that was. No, you can't see, it looks white now, but originally it was white.
Yeah.
And a lot of the siding was rotten, so we replaced it. We're planning on doing the same thing there. We just have to make it. It's milled, we use a poplar. Usually they use poplar, it's a traditional material for that siding. And then, you can't tell any difference once we paint it. But it's a traditional lap siding, and that's a single lap. On the side pictures of the house that you guys sent where it's so bad, the reason we haven't just went in and painted everything was honestly because we want to replace the majority of this with new lap siding and then paint it all at one time. So we don't have any problem, no issues from us about making the repairs needed.
So that does all need to be its own.
Yeah, basically what happens with compliance, and we had seen this with our last applicant who was gonna come forward, and then they said they were willing to go through the process and fix everything, and so we're working with them separately, so he's in that same thing. This is just to tell you all that, they've gone through the compliance stage and they're ready to do the work, but we do still need an application.
Okay, so just bring an application back.
And I would suggest also, we're starting to be a little more picky on color copies. And when you bring your waiver form back to Gabe, could you actually get the paint chip so he can put that?
On the other property.
Yes, on this 313. Can you? give
That's
me
not
that?
313, that's for this one. That's the
Okay.
color my mom picked out for
But
this
we
one.
need actual, not,
I got you.
yeah, an actual paint chip,
Okay,
if that's okay, or the number.
Sure.
off.
yeah, I think the number's on there. So.
So we appreciate this informational meeting with you, and looks like you're moving in the right direction.
Okay,
We'll see you next month.
thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, shall we proceed?
Mhm.
Okay. The first application is Purnell, Lori Purnell. Would you like to come up? We're going to have a little introduction first and then come up, okay?
Okay. Lori Purnell, owner/applicant, has requested approval of a certificate of appropriateness for freestanding signage. The signage will be fabricated out of high-density urethane, or HDU. The signage will be placed in the front yard of the property. The property is located at 142 East Main Street, and the property is within the Old and Historic District, Subdistrict 1. Some background: the structure currently is utilized as a multifamily rental property described as the Fountain Inn on Main Street. There currently is no signage at the property. Access to the site will continue to be East Main Street, Pecan Street, or Troopers Alley. Some staff findings. Applicant proposes to place a freestanding sign in the front yard of the property. The sign will be fabricated out of high-density urethane, HDU, and be rectangular in shape with concave corners measuring 18 inches by 32 inches, equaling 4 square feet. Support for the freestanding sign consists of a steel bracket and 96-inch steel pole, both pre-finished black, as seen in the rendering submitted. Background color of the sign will be black with white lettering and gold used for a found design. A tricolor border consisting of white, red, and gold is seen when moving from the center of the sign to its edge. So overall, the sign meets everything in the guidelines. They're just here before you to show you the design and get your approval
All
for
right.
it.
You want to come up? Thank you. Thank you. Welcome
So-
again. Welcome again to the Historic District.
Hello. Well, actually, this is my first board meeting,
I
so
know it.
hi, board members. Good to see you. I didn't really have anything planned today. I didn't know if I would be speaking or not, so I guess the sign that we have proposed for the front of the house is really just to let the town know, the visitors know, what the use of the property is. I think that's important. We've had people come in our house unsolicited, I think, thinking it's a museum. So with the historic nature of the home, I think it's good to maybe put the stamp on it to let everyone know exactly what the home is being used for. And we're just really excited. It's been a 2.5-year journey to get where we are today, and we appreciate everything the town has done so far to kind of get us where we're trying to go. So
Well, we're
Can we
glad,
go
we're
to
glad to
page
have you
3,
here.
please?
Page 3?
Of her application. Yeah, it's the picture, I guess. I just was gonna ask you where, you have a historical road marker on the one corner of your house, which will stay, I'm sure. I mean, but where are you putting the sign?
right, and I think, Christy, it's going to be up on the other side of that big oak tree.
Okay.
Right, it's not going to be competing with the historical marker.
And it won't be on the sidewalk, it'll be on your,
Definitely not. In the front yard,
Yeah.
of course, not encroaching on the sidewalk. If you look at the Nature Conservancy next door,
Mhm.
the sign that they have in the front yard, I kind of envision it being between our front walk and the Nature Conservancy, which is right next door in that section of
Okay.
the yard. So if you're looking here, straight facing the house,
Mhm.
it would be on the left-hand side of the large boxwood.
okay?
Okay. Any more questions? Any questions you have of us? It sounds like the sign is according to the guidelines, size-wise, as well as the way it looks.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the sign as presented.
Okay, motion's on the floor.
I'll second that.
Mr. Anderson has seconded the motion to approve the sign as presented. Roll call.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
And Mrs. Bunn?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board.
All right.
Sure, we'll be seeing you soon.
All right. Okay. All right. The second application is from the Cliftons. Mr. Clifton's here, I see. So we'll hear some staff findings, and then we'll invite you up. Thank you.
Yes, so Martin K. Alloy and Doris M. Clifton, owner/applicant, has requested approval of a certificate of appropriateness to replace the existing front door and windows located on the southern or primary elevation. The property is located at 131 East Main Street. The property is within the Old and Historic District, Subdistrict 1.
Excuse me.
Some background. According to Places and Time, Volume 2 by Nancy C. King, the Samuel G. Keller House was built in 1909. Before Keller constructed the present brick structure, a frame structure existed at the site. Thomas E. G. George purchased the property in 1973, George would go on to remove the full-length front porch and change the primary facade to its present Georgian style. So as you can see in your packet, I've included some Sanborn maps. I did see previously that there was a wood frame structure on here. This is the first Sanborn that shows the brick structure with the full-length porch right here.
What years?
And then also in 1922, you see there were some additions on and the full-length front porch again and everything. So the Sanborn maps confirmed what place and time said. Staff findings, the applicant proposes to replace all the existing southern or primary elevation 9/9 wooden rope pulley double hung sash windows, painted a dark tannish color with 9/9 wooden double hung sash windows painted classic white. And I have this right here just to show you. So the one that starred right here, that's the color that they're looking to use. The lights will be insulated glass with muntins on the outside of the windows only. Upon visiting the site, staff found the existing 9/9 wooden rope pulley double hung sash windows have been nailed shut. This was a common thing usually done in the past to make them inoperable, so the top sash would stay inoperable where you could still move the bottom sash. The existing window lights are single non-wavy panes with muntins on the outside and inside of the window. The applicant mentioned to staff the windows were replaced 50 years ago. However, evidence of the windows being rope pulley operated could mean the windows are actually older than 1973. So rope pulley windows were usually used in colonial era and also during the World Wars. Soon after that, they went with more modern windows that we have today. So that's why it could be that these are actually older than
Do we
1973.
think they're original to the house, though, or they were just sourced and,
That I'm unsure
I'll
about.
wait and get a calculation.
okay.
But usually with rope pulley windows, they were never reconstructed after, in a sense. They were usually reused or just thrown away.
Okay, we'll hear from Mr. Mello.
Yeah.
I do have a little bit more here.
Okay.
Next, the applicant proposed to replace the existing raised six-panel wooden door painted dark green and surround consisting of single pane thick lights and wooden panels painted a dark tannish color with a wooden raised six-panel door painted dark green to match existing with insulated double pane lights along the top and on either side of the door with buttons on the outside of the surround only. All trim will be painted classic white. Based on a site visit and materials the applicant submitted, staff found a few differences between the existing and proposed items related to the door replacement. That are the lights around the door being one pane thick instead of insulated, and the existing has wooden panels on either side of the door where two lights would be installed when looking at what is proposed. So just to show you, here's the existing door where there are wooden panels on either side at the bottom. The proposed would have windows going all the way down on either side. So this is what's proposed. This is what's existing there right now. Lastly, the applicant proposes to fill in the top portion of the side door where vertical bars are currently with wood. This door is not original. I've looked at multiple Google images going in the past, and the door has been replaced, put back on, and everything, so there's different designs. So this door, the side door, is not original to the house at all. That's all I have. And the applicant may come
Okay,
up if you have any
Mr. Elroy, would you
questions.
come forward? Thank you. I know the feeling. We're glad to have you in town.
So I'm Martin Alloy. I live at 131 East Main Street. My wife is Darius Clifton. She likes her name, so we go confused, except for when we go to restaurants, she makes it in her name, and I walk in, they say, "Hello, Mr. Clifton."
Bet
But
you
I'm
get
used
that a
to it
lot.
now. I want to correct one thing.
Yes.
The alley door, I was really talking to Gabe about the other end of the alley where the door had rotted and fallen off, and I was going to just make it a solid door rather than have bars in it.
So at the back of that
It's the back of the
passageway,
house.
okay. Okay. So noted.
It's also a bigger door. The back of the house is wider than at the front. Hides trash cans and HVA equipment.
This is, before you get into it, this is an interesting project because it is a very is slightly unusual in that this particular, as the staff has written, this particular this particular building has undergone dramatic renovation over the years, and particularly in the early 1970s, completely redid the whole entire facade, including probably the front door. And I don't know about the windows. The whole presence of those pulleys indicates that it could be the windows themselves. It looks like the glass was definitely replaced from the old wavy glass to newer glass. But so we've got several things for you to do here for us to discuss. And one, of course, is the door, the front door, and the lights surrounding it. And secondly, the windows. And then third, the alley door. So let's start, first of all, with the door, the front door.
Okay. The front door actually comes made as a whole unit, including the insulated glass that surrounds the door. And the problem is, if we wanted to put the panel on the bottom too, we can't get the door till February, because they make the glass, but they don't make the panels. It's just a production problem. But I think it's quite attractive the way it is. But it is insulated glass, and the door is also a insulated mahogany door. And the door hardware locks it from the top and the bottom so it won't warp. This door that's there now has probably been replaced a few times. It's warped. You can, the air just flows through it. It's
Okay, all right.
it's just a problem.
Yeah, okay. Any questions about the door so far? Comments?
And the color dark green, do you have a sample of that?
I think that's what they
Is it
asked
on
us
this
to
chart?
do.
It'll be the same color.
On this panel here, or the same color that it
The
is?
same color that's there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same
Okay.
color that's
Yeah,
there?
so that's why no paint color was
So
needed.
painted the same,
Right,
painted
that's
the
the
light
color.
color, okay. So therefore, the
This
door,
color.
replacement for the door using the same color.
It'd be the same color.
And the surround would be
And
alike,
this
except
white.
for no
Right.
paneling at the
But
bottom.
they're all insulated glass.
In this classic white color instead of this
Yes.
color? Okay.
And then the trim will be white rather than
Yes.
the tan it is.
So we're using pillow windows, and it's sort of, they do a lot of historical things, and these are the
What
colors
kind of glass
they
is
do.
in it right now? What kind of glass in the existing, around the door right now? What kind of glass is that, insulated glass that's around the door now?
Yeah, no, there's no insulated glass around any of the doors.
So it was probably done in the early 1970s, or even later. You said it's been replaced, the door's been replaced.
Well, the windows haven't, but the door has.
Uh-huh.
There's a little, if you look at it closely, you have the picture, you'll see a little white strip going around it.
Yes.
So was replaced after it was first installed. Somebody else came in and fixed the door,
Okay,
but it's warped again, so.
okay. So let's move on to the windows. So you're proposing to replace the entire window unit with a identical looking 9/9?
Well, I had Pella has a contractor who just does Pella windows. And he thought that he could not replace the moldings that are there now. It would be very expensive. So he thought to leave the moldings, and when they're doing their work, where there's some rot, which has been painted over, they will cut it out, and they can make molding to fit, so that once you paint it, it'll look the exact same shape that it is right now. So we're just gonna place the interior.
You mean on the inside of the window? Within the house?
So,
I think he's talking
the,
about.
Inside,
I see,
we're
I
replacing,
see,
but the
right.
moldings on the outside,
Oh, okay.
we're keeping, but we will do some repairs there because some of the wood rotted, and prior owners have puttied it and painted it, but they didn't cut out the rot.
Oh, I see.
So
And
would
with
you-
wood, once it starts rotting, you can't, it doesn't fix itself.
What kind of repair work would that be, with wood or some kind of epoxy?
Oh, no, with wood.
With wood.
It'll just cut out like a 2-inch piece where the rot is. Put a piece of molding back, putty it up so it's all even, and then paint it. You'll never know the difference. But it'll be the same look without having to replace everything.
Okay, just the interior part, as you say.
Right.
And the, the glazing will have outside exterior muntins
Yes,
out of wood, I mean, out of.
Out of wood.
Of wood. As I have mentioned, this was a wholesale renovation in the early 1970s. It's really, or even the mid-1970s, probably about 1975. So there's very little here that could be earlier, but with the possible exception of these rope pulley window
well,
sections.
there's no rope in,
There's no rope there, yeah.
Right. just some nails.
Yeah.
If I may interject.
You may.
The pulley, usually the ropes are cut, but the pulley, the wheel and
Oh,
the
yes.
frame is still there.
Yes,
That's how I could
so that's the
distinguish
evidence
that.
of it, right.
Yeah.
Anybody have a comment?
I have a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
On the front door, since they're going to lock at the top and the bottom, requires a lever, which we would do in brass, in order to secure it. You lift it up, you lift it down, then you lock it, and it's secure. The piece of hardware that's on the door, we don't know where you can buy new hardware, but it doesn't secure the door, and it loses its warranty if you can't lock it in the top and the bottom because it warps. It is a mahogany door, but subject to change in temperatures and such.
So do you mean that you will be removing the knocker there?
No, I'm going to put a new knocker there, and I also want to put a new mail slot and make it 3 inches wider so that you can get a magazine through it,
Okay.
or any kind of little package. You know, it's only going to be 2 inches deep, but it's only, right now it's 8 inches. And the mail just a lot of times doesn't go through.
There's a sort of a rectangular piece of wood or something.
Right there, yeah. What is that?
Oh, on the wall?
Yeah.
Somebody did a repair that never painted it.
Oh,
I think there was a intercom system.
oh, right.
Do you have any plans for that?
Yeah, we were going to take it off and make it right.
It'll be a part of what you're
Part
doing
of
there.
it.
Right. Only thing we're going to leave on the side, there's a doorbell.
Yeah, I saw that.
Mhm.
But other than that, we're going to get rid of those 2 panels so it looks like it should look.
Okay. All right, as I say, this is an unusual situation because it has almost nothing that was from the original 2 structures that's there. So do we have anybody have a motion that they would like to
Do we
make?
need to discuss this door back here?
Mhm, we can discuss the back door,
Just so we get it
Mhm.
on.
the back gate door.
It'll match what
Well, we're
Rachel
trying to
had
find it here.
on the
Just-
other side.
It's right here. You can't really, you
Okay.
can see it minimally, but like I said too, I did
Yeah.
Google searches, and it's not the original
It's
door.
almost irrelevant.
That's what-
So
yeah, just
Rachel,
make
when
sure
she
we
put
cover
in
it.
her patio,
Yeah,
there was a door on both sides.
Mm.
The door next to us rotted.
right.
It wasn't there when we bought the house. So we're gonna match Rachel's door, so it all looks like, but rather than put bars on the top, we're just gonna make it solid.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Do it right.
I
Yeah.
do feel like since this house has had extensive work, and I feel like if Mr. Boyd were here, he probably could weigh in on some of it because he.
It's,
probably-
the inside has been more extensive work.
So,
And that's none of our business.
What?
yeah, the
That's
inside.
none of our business.
We can't tell you what to do to the inside. I'm okay with it.
All right.
So I
Yes.
feel like it's improving what we have
I think
there.
you're right.
So I make a motion.
When we paint the trim white in the front, does that go all the way around the house? Make it all,
Are you intending to do that?
I would like to do that,
It would seem to be logical to paint all the trim the same color.
yes.
Okay. Okay. So therefore, there's a motion on the floor. Is your motion to approve as presented in total?
Well, I was going to, and now he's added the other trim, so I don't know how to put that on there.
Well, I thought the rest of the trim was just implied anyway.
You could just say, just to make sure with your motion, you could say approved as presented with the condition that all the trim of the house may
Will
be
be painted this.
classic.
Classic white?
Yes.
Okay.
That's how you could word your motion,
Yeah.
Okay.
if you want to be that
Very
specific.
good.
I mean, just so we get it covered.
All right. So a motion has been made to accept the proposal as presented with the caveat that in painting all the trim, that all the trim is repainted white as presented. All right. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Ms. Bunn. Any further discussion? Any comments from anywhere else? All right, I think we're ready for a motion. I mean, a vote.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Hartshorn?
Aye.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
And Mrs. Bunn?
Aye.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I'll try to do a good job.
Thank you. Please do. All right. All right. The next applicant is Vicki Wampler.
Okay.
All right,
So,
we're going, Ms.
So the request by Vicki Wampler, owner/applicant, has requested approval of a certificate of appropriateness for fencing. The property is located at 151 North Church Street, and the property is within the Old and Historic District, Sub-District 2. Some background. In October of 2021, a cottage-like structure was approved by the HPRB. In the spring/summer of 2022, the cottage-like structure was finished. A carport existed approximately in the same location the cottage-like structure is now. On the south side of the once existing carport running along Plum Alley was a wooden split rail fence. If I can show you here. On Google Maps to kind of give you an idea of what that would have looked like. One second. So this is what it looked like before the cottage was built. Split rail fence was here, carport was here. This is where the cottage is now. So the applicant proposes two options for review, and they've left it up to the HPRB's discretion to which one you think would fit with the guidelines more appropriate and the existing, what was there before in a sense. Option one, fencing will be installed around the entire perimeter of 151 North Church Street and extend to the southwest corner of 102 West Valley Street. Fencing will be fabricated out of treated southern yellow pine and painted white to match 151 North Church Street. The fence design will consist of 1/4 inch thick, 3.5 inch wide, and 3 feet 5 inch tall for equally spaced Gothic pickets, 4 inches thick, 4 inch wide, and 6 feet tall Gothic posts, and 2 3-foot high gates with 4 inch by 6 inch posts. One gate will face the driveway, and the other will face Church Street. Hardware for the gates will be pre-finished black. And as you can see in your packet there, I've given you an example of what the pickets would look like and the posts, and they would just be regular white color. Option two, fencing will be installed along Plum Alley and at the rear of 151 North Church Street, terminating at the southwest corner of 102 West Valley Street. And just to clarify, in case anybody's confused, the 102 West Valley Street is the other structure that's on the property. It's just the one that is facing Valley Street. So they're all in the same parcel. Fencing will be fabricated out of aluminum, powder-coated black. The fence design will consist of staggered pressed spearhead topped pickets extending above the top rail, alternating in height. The fencing is pre-assembled into 6-foot long sections comprised of 15 5/8-inch square pickets placed 3 and 13 6-inch apart, 2-inch by 6-inch posts, and 3 1 1/8-inch by 1-inch rails. There's a rail at the bottom and 2 along the top, as shown in your packets here. A 3-foot high gate with matching hardware will be incorporated into the fencing. Here's an example of what the picket will look like. Split rail, so if you want to bring that along. So just imagine that's pre-finished black instead of gray like that. Before 151 North Church Street was approved to be constructed through the HPRB in October of 2021, an open-air front gabled wooden carport with an asphalt shingle roof was located at the site. To the left of the once carport was a wooden split rail fence running along Plum Alley. The wooden split rail fence ran from the southwest corner of the property to the electric pole located at the southeast corner of the property. No other significant amount of fencing has been found to exist historically at the site. The proposed fencing would need to be set back enough so as not to impede sight lines for drivers and walkers alike, and staff has already had a conversation with the applicant about that. The fence on both the Plum Alley side and Church Street side need to be set back to not impede sight lines for drivers or walkers. Other than that, that's all I have for you. If there's any questions you have for me, I can answer them. If not, the applicant may come up and discuss.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for being here.
Thank y'all for having me again.
So you've got a fence that you'd like to put there?
Yeah, and I want to make it real simple. I did have 2 choices, but then I drew another one. This is actually what I would be actually doing. It's just the house and the perimeter, around it will be that wood, the picket.
The wood
Option.
pickets?
So
And then-
option one.
Option
Option
one?
one.
Okay.
But it will be 36, 3 foot on 3 sides, and the back will be 42 inches. It'll be taller in the back because of the neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, if I don't put it up a little higher, all the flares will be up over my fence. Does that
Okay.
make sense? So I just want the back part behind the house to be a 42 inch and the perimeter, the rest of the house to be 36.
So I have a question then. So
Okay.
just to clarify that, so when you say in the back of the house, you mean the literal back of your house there, but it's running between you and the next neighbor on Plum
Yes.
Alley?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
That one.
that one right there, yes.
Y'all looking at it? Yes. If I don't put it a little bit taller there, it won't serve any purpose of me having a division between the 2 houses.
Okay. And then the extent of the rest of the fence will be along Plum Alley and then a turn onto Church Street?
Yes, it'll be on both sides of my house and then front Church Street.
Okay, how far up
Yeah.
Church Street?
Oh, actually, I did a picture, but I think it's a 50, it's actually Church Street side. I got it in my pocket.
To the beginning of the driveway?
The driveway
Oh, okay.
between the
So
houses.
just in front of your house?
Not
Yes,
all-
just
not-
in front of my
yes.
house.
Not all
yes.
the way down to
No,
Valley Street.
no,
right.
just
All
in
right.
front, it's gonna circle, it's gonna
Okay.
go right perimeter
Yeah.
of my
Okay.
Around your house, not hers.
Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's observing the setbacks that have been required there on
Yes,
Plum
and I also
onto
talked to
Church.
Count a while back, and there is a concrete wall, in front of the real estate company. It's on the side of their yard, where
Yes,
the real
right
estate
there.
is?
Yes.
He said that actually the property line, that is the property line. He said that if you measure that. So I did measure from, like he suggested to do with the fence across the street to see what the setbacks are. And I did measure that to make sure I got like at least 5.5 feet between the road to my property. So they
Okay.
did it for
So
me.
you're gonna be in line with that concrete wall?
Yes.
Well, I'm sure the town has just an approval for that that's straightforward, is that right?
It will actually probably be inside my property. I mean, you know, I'll be setting it back enough to where it have a pretty good size,
That's okay. The main thing when we talk about line of sight is that the fence cannot come to a perpendicular angle like this. So you can't have Church and Plum Alley like that. It basically is gonna have to be at an angle.
so
So
I guess
that-
I can angle around the pole then.
Mhm.
That's what I was gonna do. I
Something-
don't know if
yeah,
that would
so
look right or
people-
not.
People need to be able to pull up and then be able to see
Yes,
to
ma'am.
turn.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that's the main thing when we say.
Yeah, I had
setback.
another guy come out today, a contractor, and he suggested outside the pole. I said, I'm not doing that. I said, even if my property was, I'm gonna have to kind of swing. Will it look right though, not being square?
Yeah, it'll just have to be at like an angle of sorts, yeah. Yeah, just so cars can pull up and see around.
Okay, good
Yeah.
deal.
All
Is
right.
there, is there any other kind of fence along through that Plum Alley? Like, you know? I know
Every
this-
fence
I know-
There's
What do those other fences look like?
They're all
that
the
are
same
along?
that I'm putting up.
The wood.
They're wood.
They're
And
either,
yours is gonna be white, right, and not the
Yes.
wood look?
The reason I have to do it this way is because mine's not like the other properties down through there. They got people on each side that's already fenced. So you can't see the unfinished side. The unfinished side is enclosed. If I don't finish that one, I thought about not doing it, then when you come down that road, you can see the
Yeah.
back side and it looks bad. So that's the reason I'm decided just to enclose it.
I do prefer the white over the,
and make it
Yeah.
white.
The,
Yeah.
over
Yeah,
the, over the wood look?
I like the
Over
wood.
the natural look.
I was gonna do the aluminum because you could see that and it would look good because you could see it from Valley. If you look down through there, the aluminum's finished, it's
Yeah.
painted. You know,
Well, your
wouldn't-
house is such a cottage
Right.
that I think something like this is a little more ornate than
Exactly.
the style of your house.
Yeah, I like the wood too, a little bit
Okay,
better.
but
But I mean,
anyway,
yeah, if you want to.
one other question, is that simple? I mean, it's just a white, it's gonna be a white picket fence, it's just gonna have a Gothic top. And
And
it'll have
the-
2 gates on it, one
and-
on the front and one on the side to the driveway so I can get in.
Should we get rid of that yellow string?
No, I like it.
And-
Look,
and so
if
the
y'all
hi-
knew how much trouble I have with animals using the bathroom in my yard.
So the,
And people driving in the yard. I mean, they come around that curve and they're
Yeah.
almost
Oh, we've
into
discussed
my-
the traffic on.
Anyway.
So
Uh,
the-
Anyway, so the only other, one other thing.
Mhm.
That's simple, right? Okay. You know, it comes along the back, like I said, behind my house up to the corner of, he was real good about putting a direction on it, at the corner of the Valley Street. It'll be to the back to the corner of her house.
Mhm.
North, what is it? North 102?
Northwest.
Yeah. Now, that's gonna be another side that's not finished. You know what I mean? So, don't you think that maybe I could double that up on that side?
I'm not following you.
Okay, you got a picket
Mhm.
fence. And all you're gonna see if I don't do something is you're gonna see the rails, the back rails, you know, where it's joined together like that. I'm thinking about putting maybe a picket and just the wood on that side to be a double picket, so it will be finished
Oh.
looking.
Oh, I
Just
see
wanna
what you're
paint
saying.
You want, huh?
You can't just paint the back and save yourself
No,
some time.
well, you can, and it may look okay, but if it didn't, I thought it looked more finished if it would match the pickets on around the yard.
So I think what you're referring to is usually fences put the good side out
Yes.
and the bad side to you. And what
Right.
you're trying to do is the reverse?
Well,
or
only
both?
on that one portion.
On that one portion?
Yeah, because see, mine'll be a little picket, and it'll be finished all the way around, you won't be able to see any of it. But on that one strip, about 50 feet, it will look like unfinished picket. You know what I mean? So I thought, well, I might could just put a picket on both sides.
You'll just put it, double
And
it up there?
yeah, and it would be finished looking. Does that make sense? I don't have to.
It
but-
makes sense, but I would just paint, I would just
paint
Well, I'm gonna
it.
paint it,
Why?
but you'll still be
Yeah.
able to see it when you
Well,
come
she
down
is going
Church
to, she is
Street.
going to paint it, she's just talking about the,
Oh,
The look
the
of
wrong
it, the
side
finish,
would
make
be
it look more
visible.
finished.
The
Yeah, I
wrong
mean,
side being
I
visible.
guess we could let you make that decision if you think it looks bad.
Okay.
I mean, everyone else has a fence along those properties that have been there a long time, and I don't think anyone.
I don't like a fence that looks faded,
Yeah.
that looks like wood, that looks like it's
Well,
decaying.
the white will look good with color, when your house is white.
And I'm
Yeah.
gonna paint it the color, I put the white sample in there, the color of the house.
all right. Are we ready for a motion?
And this is a motion for example one, right?
For the example, the third
Well,
example,
it's actually
the new
this one,
It's the new one.
the
But-
picket will be the perimeter of the whole house.
But
But
it will
it's
be the
number
picket.
one, it's
It'll
number
be the
one.
Number
picket.
one on our
It's number
example.
one in our,
Yes.
All right.
that's the style.
All right.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. You making it?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll second.
All right, so Mr. Anderson has made the motion to accept the application as presented for option one picket fence with the height of it along the back of your property being 42, and the rest of it being 36. And a portion of that up towards the front, if you so desire, to be able to finish it on both sides as a finished
It'll be
look.
one section of the back.
One section of the back, okay.
Okay.
All right, did that get it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so Ms. Bunn has seconded it, so any further discussion or comments? All right.
Well,
Mr.
thank
An-
you all.
Thank you.
It'll
Wait a
look
minute, we
okay,
gotta
I
vote.
think.
We gotta vote.
We gotta vote.
Good
Hold
luck.
on. Hold on.
Wait a minute, Vicki, we haven't voted on it
Oh, I
yet.
thought you voted. I thought you said, yeah, I'm out of here. This is crazy. This is what I always do. I'm just ready to go.
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Mr. Hartshorn,
Aye.
Mrs. White,
Aye.
and Mrs. Bunn.
Now, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so, number 4, the expansion of the historic district.
I don't think we have to read all of these to the record.
No, I just included them in the packet for you to look at.
Do you need this back?
So essentially, you all requested at our workshop that we take in the 300 block of East Main Street as our next action. And then Dave Dalton has several properties that he would like to also include in the Old and Historic District. So the next step is really if you all make that motion, and what you're asking is that the Planning Commission initiate a zone map amendment
Okay.
to amend the Old and Historic District to take these properties in. And so the Planning Commission is where the actual action would take place.
And we are including everything in the 300
Yep.
blocks.
So the discussion
Okay.
at the last, at the workshop was that if we include everything in the 300 block, then you'll end up being able to have the ability so that if somebody builds something new, you all could look at that design.
And are we
If you
going
don't-
to pick up that one extra house, but that was the old general store, or the Woody's Goodies, are we gonna?
The Woody's Goodies.
Right across
Are
from
we gonna
the
pick that
entrance
up
place.
too?
Well, there were 2
I
houses
don't know
across.
here.
Girl and the
on
Raven.
either side that
The
we were
Girl and the
thinking.
Raven is being picked up. If you
All
want
right.
to look at the map here.
The place she's talking about is right across the street, my
But
aunt.
it's catty cornered. it's
Across,
in there.
Right across.
Across Dedmore from,
Yeah.
403 or
on
402?
either side of the street.
Right here.
Yeah, that.
Can you find that?
Yeah, I know.
Jade?
That's where I'm going right now.
Yeah, 403.
403.
Yeah.
We have talked continuously when we've brought this up about both of those structures, that one right there, and then across the street, the one that's just directly on
Yeah.
the south side of the street there.
Okay.
And
That one.
this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so we would include those as well.
Include those two.
I mean, is that a possibility to take?
Oh, yeah, I think you can ask for
You can ask
whatever you
for it,
want.
and they can consider it,
Yeah.
and then we go from there.
And I will say, based on the planning commission's actions that they took last week, if anyone watched that, they very much protected 301 East Main
Yes, I
Street.
noticed
And
that.
so, I think that that's encouraging for them to come through and make a motion to add more to the district.
Okay, that's very good, okay. And so we're adding a few, a portion of Park Street.
Humphreys,
On Dave Dalton's properties,
Park Street.
on Park,
The Dooley House.
yep, and those parcels go through from Park over to Railroad Street.
Okay,
Mainly, he wants that because he'd like to have the ability to have more flexible setbacks for some of the things he wants to do.
And the
And he's
tax
willing to
credits.
come through and go through the review process.
well, he wants to protect it also,
Correct, yes.
and all the benefits of historic preservation protection.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So do we need
You need
to,
to
how do
make a
we
motion.
ask them?
You just make a motion that the planning commission initiate a zone map amendment to include the addresses identified in this map, the additional parcels, and
Did you say something about Bradley Street as well, Mayan?
we're talking about Bradley Street for the future and more like a conservation district, but this motion, I think from your last workshop, was kind of like, let's just go after this and give it a go.
Yeah.
Yes,
The-
ma'am.
All of these properties are very much ready to be
Yeah.
included, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so a motion.
I'll make that
All
motion.
right, so Mr. Anderson makes the motion, and the motion is to ask the planning commission to initiate a zone map
Map.
amendment to take in the 300 block of East Main Street and the, as well as two pieces of property just across Deadmore Street on East Main Street.
402 and 403.
402 and 403 East Main Street, as well as the several properties on Park Street currently belonging to David Dalton.
Correct.
Is that it? Okay, good. Second?
I'll second.
Ms. Hartsong seconds. Any discussion? Any discussion from the audience?
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn,
Aye.
Mrs. White,
Aye,
and Mrs. Bunn.
Aye.
Okay.
very good. All right,
Progress.
Slow but steady.
so do you need to discuss these waivers?
Well, here's, I guess, this memo, is this going to, we have to act on that?
No, you don't have to act on
Okay.
any of the additional waivers.
No.
Okay,
These are just in here to just keep you up to date with what's going on
Yeah.
that we've approved staff-wise, so.
okay.
Nothing to be alarmed, everything seems to be
Okay.
all good, and we're keeping an eye on them and everything.
All right. Then, very good.
Mhm.
Any more business?
If you guys wanted to discuss a plat program, if you guys want to just research that individually, I have found some that are in Virginia. Other localities have plat programs for like their structures that we kind
Right.
of, that the Abington Association did in the past.
You all know what we're talking about?
No.
The plaques that the old Abington Association put up
Oh,
on the
yeah.
buildings, we have had a couple of them replaced. And so and remember, at one of our meetings not long ago, there was a question of could that be removed or should we remove it because maybe it would make too many things on the building, and everybody in unison said, no, they're a part of the fabric of the town. So maybe they need to be protected, and maybe we ought to provide some sort of standardized, here's what you do if you want your plaque updated. So this is the beginning of that kind of discussion. We would, I guess, put together a little study committee to come up with a proposal.
Yeah, we could do something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I've found other ones that are in Virginia, other localities that have plaque programs for
Yes.
structures.
Uh-huh.
So if you want to look through those, just take a quick
Right.
search. I just searched historic district structure
Right.
plaques
Right.
in Virginia. All the links will pop up for you, and you can just see, and it runs down what's their kind of process, what do they look for, what do they include on the plaque and everything. So if you want to look through those and just kind of get an idea,
Okay.
and maybe we reconvene another time and discuss it more further.
Yes, I think we should, I think that it's the beginning of that conversation, it's worth a careful look at it. I mean, we can do everything from being able to hand paint the ones that are faded, and keep them there, or to replace them with a new one and replace them with a new one that has identical language, or amend the language. So I think there are several ways to go that needs to have some careful discussion rather than just plunging
Hmm.
ahead.
Hmm.
Do you all agree with that and are willing to
ma'am.
discuss it?
Yeah, and I guess we have to discuss the language, because we've run into that in the past, that we really can't control language, right?
Well,
So you could set up a plat program, and I don't know if you guys want to talk about it tonight or not, but, I mean, you could set up a plat program where you've established language
Okay.
and basically you have a database, and if someone wanted to come in and have a plaque on their home, they would be getting like a pre-approved language
Okay.
plaque, and then they could purchase it and put it on their home. A lot of
So they
people
would
like
be,
that.
they would be
Yeah.
all.
I
Yeah.
think that's probably
Like
pretty
that.
important.
Another piece
Yeah.
that is probably more of the modern plat programs is having things like a QR code so that somebody could do a walking tour. I mean, other ways in which you could actually make it even more interactive if you
Mhm.
wanted to. So it probably will take a study committee to decide
Yeah.
what
Alright.
you guys would like, and
Yes.
then Yeah, because you wouldn't want to have somebody come in and then we can't really edit what they would want to put on it. So if
Yeah.
we just said, here's what you're allowed to put on it based on this address and the
Mhm.
history, and then
Mhm.
they were all set up in a database,
Mhm.
then they could basically come in and pay for a sign and go forward, and then you could come up with rules about the ones that already exist.
I think that's perfect.
Okay.
I think we all agree with that. So
Yes, ma'am.
It's well worth our good discussion. Thank you very much. So we'll just proceed, and we can either tack on that to another meeting like this, or we can put it onto another work session that we're
Yeah,
having.
I think a work session would be good.
I do too.
Yeah, that way you can kind of just talk
Yeah,
about
I
the
think that
different
would be very
options.
good.
I think
Okay.
the last work session that we had was really nice, that with the sign, I got the email with the updates of what all we had put on there. And I thought that was really beneficial,
Me too.
a lot of things that we said.
Mhm.
I know some of it was repetitious, but that just means we're all on the same page, because these are the things that we need for the town of Abington, so I thought that was really beneficial.
Yes.
And I guess too, to add to that, we did get the grant, the CLG dollars for the Historic Preservation Day.
Is
so-
that still October 12th?
Correct,
Okay.
and so we have started the invitation drafting process, so Gabe will be sending that to you, Betsy, if he hasn't. Did you already do that today?
For Mike Pulis, yeah.
For Mike Pulis, yeah, so we figured, having you send the actual official invitation rather than staff. And so we've started the process of tracking everything down and getting it going,
Okay.
so.
Well, it sounds like we probably need to have another small work session anyway.
Sounds like
To
it.
refine the plan for that day.
Yeah.
And we could put this
Put the plaque
plaque
on that.
program, and I'd
Yes.
like to
Yeah.
speed the plaque program up before, I think that one of the biggest dangers is having it just replaced and the language changed.
Sure, I think that too. I think that it would be really good to have a database of what you want on
Yes.
the signs, and then maybe we even invite a couple of the sign people that we work with on a regular
Mhm.
basis to tell us, to price it out for us, so
Mhm.
that we could basically, I'd like to give the opportunity for people to go to a couple different places as long as we had one form. Then they could
The
choose who
same
they spend
language,
the money.
all the same,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then
I'm
that could
with
be
that
included
too.
in our guideline revision.
Yes,
So-
that's very good,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
All right, good
Mhm. Yeah.
meeting. Shall we adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. Hartshorn?
Hi.
Mrs. White?
Aye.
Mrs. Bowman?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Adjourn?
Thank you.